Welcome to the Black Book Podcast. Today we got with us Lou Valentino.
Yes, sir.
People, I'm really excited about today because Lou Valentino is one of the people in my life that's become very meaningful to me in terms of just inspiration. Is a very encouraging person to be around, very, very strong individual, multi-talented, multi-creative, brilliant mind that I've been able to have the opportunity to engage with. So I'm excited for everybody to kind of get deep into the mind of Lou Valentino.
Nah, that was a hell of an intro, man. I appreciate that, man. It feels good to be here. I'll say the same thing about you. I mean, you've been a blessing. I always talk about the way that we met, you know what I mean? Which was fascinating because you were doing exactly what I was doing, even though I was doing something that I wasn't trying to do, which is work and do all this stuff. And I'm glad that we clicked right away and then that we're here now, man. Thank you for having me. I feel the same way about you, man. Trust me when I say that.
You know what? God is good. God is good. So, Lou, what I want to really talk more about, ideally, is your journey towards this new political awakening that I see online. Right now, your whole area is on fire. They try to cancel you already. You got. What is it? How many strikes you got?
Well, I got one.
Right.
Let's keep it there. Keep it there. It expires in February 24th.
So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what had happened was. We could talk about it on here. Because back when, right, apparently you were very much like a lefty. You were kind of like this very, BLM type of character.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're passionate about that because, you're a hothead. So I'm sure you were like a hothead about that too.
Yeah.
So what happened, bro?
Yeah, I think I'm just a very passionate person when it comes to what I believe in. So that goes for people too. As far as political awakening, I think it's just an awakening period, in my life that I feel like, I had to take. It all started with the Black Lives Matter. I think Candace Owens, which I did not like for no reason. I mean, just everything I saw from her on social media. And then
wait. You did not. See,
I didn't like.
Can you explain to me why at the time?
Bro, I didn't like Donald Trump. I didn't like her. I didn't like anybody on the right.
I feel like I always want people.
Well,
to tell me,
I always thought she was
I
always thought she was like a super racist. Like she was like racist. She didn't like black people.
She
didn't like her own people. That was like the I guess what I saw. Shout out to the Shade Room, but I think Shade Room culture is like one of the worst cultures in the world because there's those 30-second clips will really get you going on somebody's perception.
Facts.
So I guess that's really been my whole life. I think the awakening is actually doing the research and actually trying to understand things and not just go for what other people think. I think you speak about that a lot. It's the ideologues of what people sound like. They sound like other people. And for me, once I saw like the real Black Lives Matter, like what happened, where the money went, you know what I mean? Wow. And all of the things, like kind of like a whole scam, right? And then you start to dig in. So that brought me to actually start digging into reality, really. So it really wasn't more political. It was just more like, yo, these lies are crazy. Like, people really like got all this money for George Floyd, and where did the money go? You understand what I'm saying? And when you learn where the money went, and then you start to realize, hold on, these agendas are not lining up. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big opportunity for Black America and for everybody really to address racism in America or address what's really going on, like police and all of this. So once again, and it went from there to defund the police and all of these things. And once I started learning about these things, I started knowing how much I disagreed. And then you have a panic because you're like, wait, I'm not supposed to agree with a racist.
Boom. That part.
And then you realize, that it's just the world of free thinking. You start to think for yourself instead of others actually just making these assumptions or making these weird or assessments on people without actually knowing. So I stopped being scared to just take that extra step to free think. So it's not more political. It's more like free thinking space. Like a lot of the conspiracy theories we see nowadays, they're true. You know what I'm saying? Like Twitter files and all this stuff. Like these are things that once again I didn't know about. And then you get into all of this and you start to realize, holy crap, it's really lonely up here. You know what I mean? Because you start to free think. You know what I'm saying?
You start to free think,
and it costs, and it's not really free because it does cost. It costs friendships. It costs people.
Say it again.
Free thinking is not free.
Wow,
like,
it costs.
Not only does it acquire work, it acquires friendships to end. It acquires basically like a lot of arguments with people, and people just start looking at you like as if, you're a racist or you're this or you're that, all because you don't want to be, or think how they want to think. You know what I mean?
I do. I completely understand. And I think that the whole idea of understanding the value of free thinking, I think it's one of the most valuable things that we have, right? Like our time and our ability to think through time. And the fact that we're living in a zone where that can be co-opted makes you realize how valuable freedom actually is.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I want to go into what moment in time. Candace talks about, I think, a moment that she went through when she saw the media kind of coming through with ideas about Trump. And then she kind of moved away from the narrative and started to open up a space for her own self. What, for you, was that moment?
Well, it was a little bit of the Black Lives Matter being exposed by Candace, but also Larry Elder talking about Trump. I think Trump was like the next step, where it's like, okay, is Trump racist, right? He has a video, is Trump racist? And once again, I'm hesitant to watch stuff like that because I think a certain way already.
Right.
I get passionate about how I think. So I already, in my mind, already know he's a racist, he's this, he's that, Then you watch the video and then you're like, damn, like, he just debunked, everything I've ever thought. So it's like
your whole world.
Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, damn, like, I guess this awakening is like a debunking of everything I've ever known in life.
Wow.
Like, it's just, that's why I say it's deeper than politics. Politics is just step one. Jordan Peterson is like the maximum step, right, of how to become a man, how to hold yourself accountable. I think you stand for that. Once again, that's like the next step. So it's like step by step by step, and kind of like that's how I want to round myself.
Wow.
I want to round myself to be not only politically informed, I want to be a good man. I want to be one day a good husband, a good father. You know what I'm saying? Like, I started noticing once again, like, where did it spark? It sparked. I think it all got scary because once again, right wing conservatives,
The whole situation.
right? Then you start to look into that, and then you start realizing, oh snap, like these people, like I align myself a little bit. Then I align myself a lot. So then I guess that's when it gets scary, because nobody I know has ever been a conservative. I guess a conservative politically, you know what I'm saying? They've been conservative Christians, they've been conservative, but they've never been conservative like
the
Republicans.
The reality is a lot of Latin American people, right, have conservative upbringing. I mean, you were raised in a very conservative.
Very, very, very
right?
conservative.
You know what is a sin, what is not a sin. You know good, you know bad. Like, you don't have a question about any of this stuff. And so...
I would consider myself a liberal. Like, throughout all that time, like even when I first met you, I didn't have the awakening yet, which is funny. Like, that's funny because I was still, all for taking God out of things. Like, oh, God shouldn't be the way. God shouldn't be the compass. Like you say, God shouldn't be the way we should live through. Like, and then you start to, but then you explained it, and then you explained it in a way where once again you debunked. It's like the debunking of everything I've ever grew up learning or knowing. I did grow up conservative, but I rebelled against all that because I did feel like at some point, my mom and all my family members, they're preaching all these things that they don't live. So I guess that's in my mind where I just felt like, man, this is all BS. But then you start to realize what's happening in the world. You start to realize how much of the Bible is actually coming into fruition, like Book of Revelations and stuff. And then we talk about liberalism. Where did it start? Where is it going? And then you start to see everything unfolding right in front of you. And now you have to make a decision. I always have the saying is, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Once you see it, you can't what?
Yeah, because you can't unsee it. Like, it's like once you know right from wrong, you will be judged by God. So it's like, am I going to keep living my life, as this liberal, or am I gonna, be back to conservative, how I grew up, and which is live through God, kind of have this moral compass of like, okay, I know where I'm going, I know how I should live, I know what a sin is, I know what a sin is not. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that people need to be perfect. People are gonna be whoever they're gonna be. But in my mind, I'm like, you just start to think. You know what I'm saying? You start to actually use your brain and start to realize, things are getting real out there. You know what I'm saying? Euphrates River is drying up. Like these.
So that video, that's crazy.
Euphrates River is drying up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Animals keep running in circles. Like it's these just these things that keep on happening that are drawing me back to my faith. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm still, that I guess is like the final step.
So when are you gonna come to mass with me? This is
Nah,
I've
you
been
have, yeah,
inviting
you
out
have,
to-
you have.
Come
You see,
out.
that's the thing. Like
You got the fresh Jesus piece on. You got.
I
you
do,
got,
I do.
you
I love.
believer.
Listen, man.
I mean,
I love Jesus. I love God. I just don't love church.
understandable.
Everything I've seen from church. I mean, church. I just right now I have this. I have a thing about church that I won't go to church or step into church yet. So I think I'll get there one day. But as of right now, it's just like it's tough for me to go into the church because everything I've seen and everything I still see, like they don't talk about what's really going on. I feel like the church is the YouTube channel at this point.
In many ways.
In many ways, like
It's
we
that way.
talk as we talk about, you know, I'm starting to talk about more, open up about Jesus, the Bible, and things from the Bible that are happening today and stuff like that. But I just feel like the church, you know what I mean? Like they don't talk about Balenciaga. They don't talk about different things like that. It's only selective few pastors and stuff like that and mega churches and all that stuff. I'm good on that right now as we speak. But hey, it could change next week. I could go to your
mean,
church
I think-
and be like, you know
I
what?
think-
This is it.
I think you got. I think I encourage you to come to Catholic Latin mass.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
For
My
the-
mom
for the-
is harsh on me going like
Anywhere but
Catholic church. Nah, she ain't messing with that.
on the low. On the low. But come there. I always say come there just to see the beauty and to engage with a part of Western history and
Yeah.
a part of our heritage. At least I believe the first Black sort of idea of let me back that up. The first idea of God was Black, and the first Orthodox church is in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Right? The first Orthodox Christian church is in Ethiopia. So there's a lot of history about that. There's a lot of energy and a lot of mystery. And if you have a body and you can move through the world, it would be a disadvantage not to go. It'd be like going to see the Louvre or going to see anything in any kind of like the Met, and instead we have it established in a cathedral.
Yeah.
So, but that said, I really think that God is going to work on both of our hearts. I'm praying that we really like discover the truth, because I think that's what your mission is about.
Yeah,
it's about
seeking
discovering the truth.
Yeah.
And how do you think, or I would ask you the question, when do you think seeking the truth became so important to you? Like, was this like always built into you?
Well, it was always, so this the thing, like it was always built into me. I just didn't know how to go about it. So like my faith has always been there. Although a lot of the times I've faded away from it. Like I've just completely not focused on God or even acknowledged God. Well, I've always acknowledged God, but acknowledged Jesus or all of these things. So as far as the truth, seeking it, I've always had it in me to have a platform where I actually, what's crazy? I have this weird imaginary weird feeling that, and I saw this in a dream, and I can't once I say I can't unsee it. It was like when Jesus does come back, the guy who say he is the Messiah, because we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who's who at this point. Jews have found their Messiah. You know what I mean? Like who knows what's going on? But I had this weird feeling that I will go to wherever he is, and I will be there. You know what I'm saying? And I guess this is where it's all leading me. It's like the moment that he comes, maybe I'll be there. I don't know. It's just an imaginary thing. I mean, people probably gonna think I'm crazy about that.
Yeah,
but
it's too late. People already think you're crazy.
yeah, they already think I'm crazy. But I just feel
It's
like,
all right.
if he does
I
come in
feel
his
you.
lifetime, which I highly anticipate that he does, I will be there. I will be following. And I'll be wherever he is. But I mean, as far as seeking truth, man, like it was all in me since I was a kid. It was all in me. I always wondered exactly how we got to Puerto Rico, how we got to the United States, how my family
Wow,
got
so
to
even
the
back then you were really thinking through.
I
Like,
was
what
always
is
thinking,
going
but
on
the
with my
crazy part
identity?
about it
What
is-
is this about? Like our history, like
I started learning at 16 years old.
Yeah.
I opened up a book that I didn't finish, but I opened up I forgot what book it was. It was, my friend gave it to me, and it was, I think it was Think and Grow Rich, something like that. And then I started talking to him, and through talking to him, I started asking him, because he was black, and he's like, nah, you black, you just don't know it. And I was like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? And then you start to really look at the history of DR, history
Right.
of PR.
right.
Then you start to look at Africa,
Right.
the relation to Africa.
Right.
Then you start to, then that's when the awakening to seeking truth came. And although it went very left because it was like then
Culturally,
became
right, yeah.
then I started victimizing myself, in a way
Oh,
that
I
I was
see.
like,
Because you're
oh
like,
man,
because then we were slaves, and then we became from
nah, just
this,
like the
or
whole welfare
oh,
system
that
and
whole
all of
thing,
this, like
more up
we
to
need
date.
help and all
All
this.
this,
So,
yeah.
but it just I guess that's where the turning point is now because um I started to grow and hate the white man. I started to blame everything on the white man and have this hatred
How
like
old were you when you started to like get into that kind
18.
of? Wow.
I was 18.
So that's when you really kind of
Well,
developed.
that's when I started like really thinking of white people as monsters and all of this. And every white person I saw was like, "Oh, you're a monster."
There's a great
Yeah,
piece
it's
of
like all of these things that you just like. I felt like I was going to the wrong direction, man. Like I always felt like, yo, I can't. I need to marry a black woman, and she has to be blackity black, and I can't be with white people. I can't, and because I was listening to people. It's like I always ask people, who do you listen to?
right.
Because who you listen to is really who you mimic. Yeah, it's who you
We
learning
model
from.
each other.
Exactly.
There's a great piece where Jordan Peterson was really, I think, putting out for people to kind of come into, and it was the idea of resentment and how dangerous, like that kind of ideological, I guess you could say, possession could be when you develop, oh, I've seen the world that makes us resentful. Whether wrong or right, it's a horrible place to be in. So you're
That's where I
18
was
years
at.
old.
I was already there.
You're there, right?
Yeah.
How then did you progress? Because I'm sure you had a lot of drive because you've done a lot of really incredible things that people in your
Yeah.
position maybe would never have gotten the ability to have the mindset to overcome or seek and go for it. What was this a motivating factor for you to,
Well,
to do things, or was this more like, were you depressed? Like, I don't think like you're that kind of guy.
Nah,
right?
I wasn't.
So-
I wouldn't say I was depressed. So after I learned all this stuff, funny part about it is I just knew it, and I kept it really to myself. I spoke to my man Gio, who taught me everything that I know about that. He kind of brought me into that world too, of the world of like YouTubers and people that just kind of like. He brought me into YouTube. He brought me into my past. He brought me into all these things. My brother had went to prison. My stepfather had left home. All of these things were happening at home, and he was like my mentor. He was the one like teaching me the world, and I would ask him questions and stuff like that. And I would just have all these things, inside of me that I kind of already knew, as far as seeking truth goes, and as far as white people, where I come from, all of this. So the crazy part about it is, when I was 19, I moved to Miami to model. So I was a model, and that's when I got introduced to what you would call, the modeling industry, kind of like this evil possessed. Um, and the reason why I say that is because
Wow.
everybody is chasing that clout.
that bad.
Everybody wants it
Wow.
that bad. You know what I'm saying? And it is a world that, once again, I don't know if I can say this on here, but
I mean,
I always say that the industry is run by gay mafia. I always say that, and I don't. That's nothing against gay people, but I feel like the majority of people that work in these industries are all LGBTQ. So that's when I got introduced to the
it's like
LGBT.
they mafia'd up, and now they're
Yeah, like they're the people
power.
they're the people. I wouldn't say that they're like glorious power, but they're the people. Most of the agents are gay.
They're the gatekeepers
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And
Yeah, in a lot of ways, they are the gatekeepers. No, and there's nothing wrong with gay people running the industry at all. But you have to understand one thing is that I started to then see models begin to do the sending pictures, the touching, and all of these, once again, these very evil things that even if it was a girl, it will still be evil. Like it doesn't matter which sex you are, it's evil regardless. But I started to see models kind of reveal themselves in this way of like, this is the way to really make it in this industry. You have to play this game with
so like get into
these
the DMs,
guys. You know what I'm saying?
get
Like,
into the DMs, shoot your shot, see what happens. I mean, for
nah,
sure,
man, you not even that. Like even in
Like,
person,
I
like
could-
you in
yeah, that
person,
part too.
I heard of some crazy things,
Yeah.
like, and I wasn't willing to go that route.
Wow.
I guess that's why I never made it that far, really, because there was people around me at that time that were, they were trying to fill me out, see if I was gonna go, like inviting me to these weird parties. You know what I'm saying? People doing drugs and all of these things, and they doing all this type of crazy stuff. And to me, I just wasn't with it. So that was kind of like where the birth of the YouTube channel came, because I wasn't with that. I wasn't with biting that bullet. I wasn't trying to bite. The bullet I was trying to bite
No
was,
pun intended.
yeah, the bullet I was trying to bite was not doing it. And
Like,
I
I
think
don't do
not
that.
doing it, because you got to understand, like me, like I've gone broke so many times trying to prove a point. Like I'm a point prover. Like I'm gonna make sure that y'all not gonna get me to do anything that I don't want to do. And you hear about it though.
Right.
You hear about it in the industry where the sacrifices, right? The crazy and these things are conspiracies, but they, then Kanye comes out, he says, "Well, my mom was sacrificed." And then you're like, "Whoa,
What's going on?
wait a minute, bro.
Like, what
I thought these
exactly?
is all." But then you realize they're like, "Yo, Noriega from Drink Champs, he talks about it where there's like different types of Illuminatis and stuff." So I was in the industry in the sense of I was around
You
and
saw
I was
where it
at the
was
door,
going, right.
and I was like, to enter this door, you got to do some weird stuff. So I'm good. I'm not gonna do
Right.
that. You know what I mean? Like as far as modeling and acting goes, because I was on some acting stuff too. So the birth of the YouTube channel came after that, and I was like, yo, like nobody's like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not doing none of that. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna just be my own boss. So
Bet.
the YouTube channel launched in 2018, and I began to do like reactions and different things, and the rest kind of is history in a way. But that's pretty much like the rebellion against like the industry, kind of like everything I saw. But then 2019, the next year, I meet my dad for the first time after 22 years, then realize I have a family that works in the industry as far as driving, as far as like cars, black car service, all types of celebrities. And then I end up driving BTS, right?
I remember seeing some
yeah.
videos that went like
I collaborated
crazy.
with the biggest group in the
I
world.
was like, what is going on?
But it all
Yeah.
came around. It's all worth
That's
it at the end of the day.
amazing, man. So
I
like, you really
bit the bullet
you bit
and
the
it paid
bullet,
off.
and it paid off.
Yeah.
Like, and then I saw like everything kind of explode.
Yeah, because then I took a break from YouTube, and then I started driving the celebrities. I started being a part of their inside, crews with the securities and
Right.
knowing where the cars are gonna be, meeting cars and making sure the drivers are good, then doing the driving. So, then the celebrity thing came about. And then I started really being in the industry for real, just not in the way of trying to be famous, just kind of like an opportunity that came because I met my dad after 22 years.
Wow.
And then I didn't know I had a family that was successful. You know what I mean? Which that was a super eye-opening thing where God and the law of attraction kind of like met. Like, because at that time I was super universal. No God, like it was just universe, which I still kind of am that way. But I know that God is the compass. The God is the reason why this is happening. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%.
So-
Wait, I want to ask you about law of attraction and about your processes, right? Because you did something I like to call quantum leaping. You did some massive quantum leaps. What was your mindset? Because I'm always curious about this for the podcast too, for people out there, because they look at people like you, they go, wow, good for him. Right?
Yeah.
If only I could be the Valentino. What was your mindset at the time, really thinking back when you were hitting those numbers, and how are you quote unquote like using the law of attraction?
So I wrote down on a piece of paper that I wanted to make 100,000 in March 2nd, 2020, and this was like pandemic.
Wow.
Like this is like,
Like, what are you
this wasn't
thinking?
pre-pandemic. This is actual pandemic, and I don't know how I was gonna make that money. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know how I was gonna even do any of that stuff. At that time, like I still had my YouTube channel. I still had some things going on, but I wasn't like in tune with my YouTube channel. I took a long break, and by October of 2020, I had over 100,000 in my bank account.
Boom.
So that's when I was like, oh shit.
But you wrote it on paper.
I wrote it on paper. I wrote a bunch of goals, and that one was number 3.
Boom.
And that 100,000 came in the pandemic. I began to get smart. I began to raffle sneakers. You know what I'm saying?
You went
Raffle
ham.
numbers. I was raffling and just trying to create different things. And next thing you know, I'm making 35,000 in 1 month. Hopefully the IRS is listening, but
Should echo that after you.
yeah. But all I'm saying is that that's my like the law of attraction came that way. But then I also asked, kind of like in that paper, like I want to get back into like creating again, because you kind of fade away when you focus only on money and on the job. Because
But I think in many ways it's important to know the feeling of being able to. I think once you understand the feeling in your body, you can always access it. So if you've never held money before, it's very difficult for people to kind of get their head around what it would feel like, And so I think always kind of using those experiences to reference anchors, because so many times that's really all it's about, is the ability to feel in your body what
Yeah.
it's like to have and be in that vibration. If you can follow me on that.
No, I do.
trip
You
down.
I know you brought something to my attention that I think last week, where you told me about holding the money, holding 100 singles, something like
Boom.
that,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I do that, and
Imagination.
you know what's crazy? Like I've done that so many times, where as far as money, I've held it, I've looked at it, I've tried to count it, touch it, just because that's just really, it's gonna be blessings that come from already feeling like you have it.
Already feeling like you
You know what
have
I'm
it.
saying? So that's also like your wish is your command at the end of the day.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And when you start using the law of attraction, people, circumstances, and places will start to show up to help you get to where you want to get to.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? Like people like you, places like this. You know what I'm saying? Like circumstances like, going out and meeting my dad after 22 years. Like that type of stuff is the law of attraction. You have to kind of like live your life that way. Also, like not stressing, knowing that
Not
it's gonna
stressing
happen.
is a really
so like,
important piece, right?
yeah, it is,
Not
because I
stress.
still stress.
How do you not
I still,
stress?
No, I still
Okay,
stress.
I was
That's
wondering-
that's a struggle.
Sometimes you make
that's
it
a
look
struggle
very
that
easy, Luke. Because sometimes you look
Hey,
very chill.
nah,
But I know you stress the
no,
fuck out.
but when I
But,
say,
you know.
you hear me say crazy shit though, but I'm never like mad.
No, you keep it
Like
really. You
if
keep
I
you
get
keep-
mad at my girl,
you
like
keep
you
it-
hear
keep-
me
you
say
keep
some
it
crazy
very-
shit.
You keep it very.
but I'm
You
chilling.
keep it very chill.
Chilling.
And I've always admired that about
Get it
you,
out.
is that you keep it very.
Nowadays I
centered.
do. Nowadays I do. I have lost my cool before, but like I said, it's not worth it anymore. I don't feel like. I mean, I can't get it, yo, bro. These streets, I ain't got time to argue with nobody in these streets, man. Motherfuckers will shoot you real quick. So that's another thing. I'm glad that that's the case, because now I don't have to get into fights with people I already think they got a gun. Because welcome to liberal city, New York, where people get away with robbing you, killing you, shooting you, and all that stuff.
The
But
cops are not stepping in.
that's a
like they could
different
right now.
convo.
It's
That's a
crazy.
different convo.
But it's
but
true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's true.
It's crazy.
It's
But yeah,
true.
as far as like,
Yeah.
I just feel like, your wish is your command, and you can't focus on how. And you have to have, like you said, the most important thing is having people around you that hold you accountable.
100%.
Because to these mentalities, you have to be consistent in it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, if you look at your screen, like let's say we have a screen, and this is for the people listening, if you look at the screen, and the first thing that comes into your mind is, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I don't know how I'm gonna get 200,000 subs. I don't know how I'm gonna get $500,000. I don't know how. You start to feel bad about what you want, and I think that's the worst thing that could happen. You have to feel
that's
good.
valid. Yeah, you gotta
Yo,
feel
$1 million. I feel good about that. I don't know how, but I know it's gonna happen. I don't know. I can't see it on my radar screen. I can't see it. I don't know how, but I know it's gonna happen. And then with that mentality, people, circumstances, and events will start to show up. All of these things. The universe will start to lead you, and you start to realize, oh, I already got it. I just can't feel it, but I can see it. So it's kind of like, and then also another thing to that is you have to go feel these things. If you want a podcast, you got to go to the podcast room and sit there, feel, you know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah, this is going to be mine. All right, cool. You have to feel these things out. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the way I like to go about it. But once again, these things take hard work. It's not easy. Free thinking is not really free. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
It's not really.
it's not free, bro,
bro.
because it costs you relationships, and it costs you different things, and like nothing in this life is
That's
free.
the only way that we're gonna ever really have upward mobility, is if we move outside the matrix, as you say, right? Go into our own paradigm shifts.
Shout out Andrew Tate.
100%, 100%. But it's gonna cost you a certain degree of people you knew in the past,
Oh man,
right? Your
Yeah.
old self, your old identity. How did you let that stuff go? I think you and I kind of talked about that at one point back when we first started talking, and it was like, to really let go of whatever your old self was and to embrace like where you're going now. Is there like a struggle in that, or is it still something that is it something that you feel like you've kind of come to where you can open up completely to what God's got
I have
for
not
you?
opened up completely to my journey. So my journey is really like Instagram is where I have all my personal people, like people that I love, and I try to cherish as much as I can, but I try to not get political on there, or I try not to show my views nowadays, because I'm not ready for that Like I'm not. They have to find it for themselves now.
They gotta
Like
go in
I'm
that
not
little,
pushing
little
that
algorithm and, like,
because I'm
cut.
still struggling like that
Yeah.
whole like situation where I'm just like it's just a struggle, bro. Like it's a struggle. Like telling people what you think. You have to kind of word it a certain way. You have to present it kindly, good. You have to be like prepared for
So
it.
don't just burn down the whole
For
ship.
outrageous, like yo, I like Trump. I like Trump.
Boom, burn it all down.
I can't. You say I like Trump. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna cause like the massive like. So you have to kind of word it a different way. Like I just for now, because I don't know if I'm ready to make sure that I don't know if I'm ready, bro. You know what I'm saying? To talk to everybody about that. So I try to have a selective conversation. As far as my friends, as far as people I love, anybody, you know what I'm saying? Anybody can get the smoke. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care because I'm out there on social media telling you I'm open to these things that you guys are not open to. And I'm not a Republican. I'm not a conservative. Like I'm just a free thinker, and my thoughts align more with conservative Republican nowadays. But that could change. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's gonna change. I'm never gonna be a liberal ever again in my life. I'm never probably gonna be a Democrat. But if somebody runs independent that I like, then yo, we gonna mess with that. You know what I'm saying? And who knows? You know, like I just feel like anybody that is for God is for me.
Wow, I have a feeling in my heart that I'm gonna see you with Larry Elder one day. I feel like you're gonna
It can
be
happen. It can happen. It can happen.
on his whole team.
It can happen. It's just like
I have a
these
good
people. I
feeling.
don't know these people's
I
past.
have a
Like
good
my
feeling.
past is funny. Like I've done some things that I'm not proud of. So I guess that always, as a human, always kind of holds you back a little bit because you're like, damn, like only if they knew I did this, only if they knew I said that. But I mean, to me, I like you just can't be scared anymore. Like I used to be very scared. Reason why I left social media for a while.